We'll do a review in Likutei Sichos and Chelik Chaf Aleph. This is the first Sicha for Parshas Tetzava. And this Sicha, the Rebbe discusses the fact that the name of Moshe Rabbeinu is not mentioned in the entire Parshas Tetzava. And as the Balaturim explains, because Moshe Rabbeinu, when pleading in the Parshas Kisisa for the Bnei Yisrael, said, if you're not going to forgive them, erase me from your book, and a curse of a tzaddik, even a conditional, takes place. So since he conditioned and he said to Hashem that if you're not going to forgive them, even though eventually Hashem did forgive them, but since he said that if you won't forgive them, erase me, so it had to be mekuyim, and it had to be fulfilled, at least in the fact that in this parsha, his name is not mentioned. The Rebbe goes through a lot of details over here why Dafke Parshas Tetzava, which is after, and why Dafke, we see that actually, even though his name is not mentioned, but we talk about Moshe, and even on a greater level, and the Rebbe explains that Moshe Rabbeinu's connection with Yidden was a connection beyond any limitation. That was the depth and essence of Moshe Rabbeinu. That explains how come Moshe Rabbeinu was ready to give up all of himself, his Torah, and everything that he stood for even people that sinned and violated. They just heard Anoich Hashem Elikecha, they built a egel, and yet Moshe Rabbeinu was ready to sacrifice. This is the idea the Rebbe says, Va'ata Tetzava. Moshe Rabbeinu brings him, even though the menorah was lit by Aaron, but yet bring it to Moshe. Then we say that Ata Hakriv, all the Avedis in the Parsha is done through Moshe, because Moshe brings even the people from the outside. If it was just the Aaron lights the menorah means they're there already, they're receptacles, they're ready to light. And Aaron can ignite them. But Moshe Rabbeinu brings even from the outside. That's the connection, that's the Ata. And that's why Moshe Rabbeinu's essence has Mesiras Nefesh, as the Rebbe will explain in great details in the Sicha. Let's look inside. Aleph, wegen Parshas Tetzava steht in Bal Haturim. With regards to the portion of Tetzava, it is stated in the Bal Haturim, as das is the einzige Sedra Misho Shenoilad Moshe. This is the only Sedra from the time that Moshe was born, because there are Sedras from before Moshe was born, before the Parshas Shmois, a whole Chumash of Bereshis over there, Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't born yet. But from the time that Moshe Rabbeinu was born, in welcher werd nicht der Mond, in which he is not mentioned. We don't see the name Moshe for Moshe Rabbeinu. Ad Mishnah Torah, until the repetition of Torah, were Chumash Dvarim over there, we already have other parshas as well. Under Tam of them is, so what's the reason, Taki, we don't have the name of Moshe Rabbeinu over there is Val Moshe Gizok, because Moshe Rabbeinu said when the Yidden, he was davening and praying and asking Hashem to forgive them, he says, I want you to erase me, please, from this book that you written. Moshe Rabbeinu wants to be erased from the Torah. When a sage, a chochem, makes a curse, even if he conditions it, it's still going to come. So in this case, he cursed himself to be taken out of the Torah. Yes, he conditioned it. The Eibishter is not going to forgive them. So the fact that the Eibishter forgave them should l'cheira take away that erasing of the Torah. But yet, a tzaddik's curse, even if it's a condition, it comes. Is just niskayin given in their setter, so that became fulfilled in the setter that Moshe Rabbeinu is not mentioned. That is the mechenu. To a certain extent, it was fulfilled in this parsha. But the Rebbe wants to know why is this Parsha Tetzava, and also it should make more sense, it would seem, that if it came after the Parshas Kisisa, which says that erase me, that some Parsha afterwards would be erased, but the Parshas Tetzava comes before Kisisa, so why is over here? Yeder inyan prat in Torah, Every idea and detail in Torah is bediuk, is precise. Darf men sagen, so we need to say, Ados was Davke Parshas Tetzava is ausgeklippen geworden. The fact that the portion of Tetzava was chosen, as in ihr soll ausgeführt werden, that in it be accomplished, the erasing from your sefer. Was steht in Parshas Kisisa? That which is written in Parshas Kisisa, the Moshe Rabbeinu says, erase me from your sefer. Where was it accomplished? What was this made up? Where did it happen? In the Parshas of Tetzava, where he's not mentioned. Why in the Parshas Tetzava? Especially considering that the Parshas Tetzava comes before Kisiso. Befrat as l'choira, especially it would seem, what mer masim given, it would be more fitting to Meramezain or Dominion to hint to this idea as Amiras Moshe is mekubim geworden apil al Tanai, that Moshe Rabbeinu saying was fulfilled, even though it was conditional, that it was fulfilled, is in einer von the Sedra was kommen noch. That would be in one of the Sedra that follow, in which we already know about saying Amachenino, because we learned it in Parshas Kisisa, so it should be afterwards. So, therefore, we have to say that it actually fits to this parsha. It fits to the Ato Tetzava. It does therefore was that Inyan for Mechenino Mesifrecha, this idea that Moshe Rabbeinu is saying, erase me from the Torah, is masim zum Teuchen von der Sedra. That fits the content, the ideas of this Sedra. Darf man verstehen, so that need to understand. Was war a Sichos or der Inyan von Mecheni zum Teuchen von Parshas Tetzava? What is the connection? What kind of a connection is there between the concept, erase me from the Torah, to the contents of Parshas Tetzava? What is the Parshas Tetzava consist of? Over there it discusses in the portion of Tetzava about the command about bringing up the lamps of the menorah, about the Asiyas Bigdei Kahuna, the structuring and making the garments for the serving for the Kohanim, Chinuch and Aaron, the dedication and the training of Aaron and his son. That's the end of the parsha. It talks about making the Mizbech HaKetoros. How does this have to do with the idea of erasing Mechenino Mesifrecha, that it was fulfilled in this parsha? Based. And now the Rebbe points to the idea here, while we're saying that we didn't mention the name of the Moshe, but it's not like we're not talking about it. The whole parsha is talking about Moshe. Matter of fact, it's even a higher level than Moshe. We're saying the Ato Tetzava. Ato means you and brings the Klei Yokor, which is even a higher, deeper expression than just would be the expression of the of his name. Based. We also need to understand the Kavon in them Moshe Bazah Seder. What is the meaning, the intent when it says that Moshe wasn't mentioned in this order? Is nit as do retzich nit wegen Moshe. It's not that we're not discussing Moshe in this parsha, nor as Moshe werd nit der Mond b'shmoi, but rather that Moshe isn't mentioned by his name. Aber in der Sedra retzich wegen Moshe, unin aribu psukim. But in this Sedra, we do discuss Moshe, and in many psukim. It's not like. So when we say it was fulfilled, that he's not mentioned, it's not that he's not talking about him, but his name is not mentioned. And not only everything he's talking about, and furthermore, at the beginning of the parsha, the beginning of the Sedra, which is also in the name, the Ato Tetzava. Tetzava was his merames kidu von Teuchen von der ganzer Sedra, which hints, the name of the Sedra hints, as we know, to the contents of the entire Sedra. So what's the name is Ba'ato Tetzava. Who is the Ba'ato Tetzava? Is Batzitzir Dafke zu Moshe. This refers to specifically to Moshe. And not only are we just talking about Moshe, we're talking to Moshe in the level of Ba'ato Tetzava. Made Kipirush HaKliyokar, which Ato Tetzava means, as the Klei Yokor interprets, mimahus atzmusach, from your essence, from your essence, Moshe Rabbeinu's essence. Was mahus va'atzmus, when I mentioned the mahus and the essence who the person is tiefer, is deeper, and higher from the dargi mentioned was verbunden mit shame than the level of the person which is associated to his name. Ato means a deeper place that the person it touches comes from. And in Yonei from shame, the idea, what is a name? A name is bichdei as a zweiter soll im Kennerufen, so that somebody else should be able to call him. But the Atzmus Hus von a Mensch, but the essence and who the person is hecher und tiefer von Hob Mashayches zu Azulas, is higher and deeper than being able to have a connection to somebody else. And therefore it's also higher than the idea of name. So the ato is a higher part of the person than the name of shame is. We're talking about a deeper and a higher level in the person. So according to this, it turns out by not mentioning his name as Adrab, the contrary, how was the erasing accomplished? How did it take place? That Moshe here isn't mentioned by his name, but rather through the word you shall command. Weist of noch aggressorer meile v'shem Moshe. That points to even a greater advantage than even the name Moshe. So the expression of being erased comes about in the way that we're actually mentioning him a deeper and a higher level than Moshe Rabbeinu. So how is this? How is this explained? But man das verstehen. Well, understanding is Gimel Bahagdim Habiur, by explaining the explanation. Why is it that Moshe Rabbeinu was willing to give up all of his Torah for people who are sinners, who violated the sin of the Egel? In the Mgoydel Inyan, in this great idea from Bakoshas, Moshe, what is Moshe Rabbeinu asking? This seems to be like magnificent. Moshe Rabbeinu to ask, I want you to erase me from the book that you wrote. Upirush Rashi, and Rashi says, what does it mean? Not the he wants to be erased from all the Torah. And the question is, why would Moshe Rabbeinu want to be who? Moshe Rabbeinu and Torah are really one and the same. And here he's trying to give up that relationship that is his essence. In Yoneh for Moshe's Torah, Moshe's aspect is Torah. Chazal, as our sage of blessed memory says, Torah nikras al Shemoi. The Torah is called, we say Torah Tzivalon Moshe. Moshe, Torah is called on Moshe's name. Why is the Torah called on Shemoi? Moshe nosan nafshi al Torah, because Moshe dedicated, he gave his soul away for the Torah. Therefore, it's verstandig. So for this we understand as the inyan for mechenino misifrecha. So when he says erase me, this is something which would touch his essence. Mikola Torah kula, take me out, wipe me out, erase me from the entire Torah. Rirt on the etzem mitzias for Moshe. This touches the essence of Moshe's existence. BS is Ein Smith Torah, because Moshe is one with Torah in existence, and now we're taking away that Torah, which is the essence of Moshe. And then consider, who did Moshe Rabbeinu want to lose his essence and his connection with Torah? Because of what did Moshe Rabbeinu stand himself up in this situation? In order to accomplish an atonement for the sin of the Egel. The sin of the Egel is a very serious sin. To the extent that all later sins and their punishments are always associated with the Chet Egel. So that means this was the lead sin of all sins, that everything later on and all the punishments are associated with this sin. So we're talking about people that were involved with something very, very serious, very serious. The pasuk says, at the time that I remember for other things, I will remember this sin as well, which means there's always something from the egel, which is there, which is in the other things, in the other sins, in the other punishment. There's no punishment in which there's not from the punishment of the egel. Is tamua. So the surprise is, why would Moshe Rabbeinu give up all of his essence in Torah for people who violated the worst Avedas? Is tamua. Wie kommt es? How come? As Moshe soll einstellen sein Etzem Metzias, that Moshe should put in line here. He put on line his essence of his existence. Was his verbunden mit Torah? His existence, essence is connected to Torah. He's erasing it, meaning he doesn't want for that portion of Jews who sinned with the egel, which includes that he hadn't Mesiras Nefesh, not only for those who participate, those who made the egel, was even heper. They were opposite of the command in the Aseres Hadibros. Should not be to you, Gomer. Not to make any images. Now here they made the golden calf. In ganzen Islam from Torah. These were people that were totally torn away from Torah. So why would they do that? And then another thing is, what's the connection? That Eibishter doesn't forgive the egel, he doesn't want to Torah. Whoa. What's the tie between the things? What is the Teuchen from Bakoshas Moshe? What is the idea, the content of Moshe's request? If you're not going to forgive them, erase me from your book. It's Mikol HaTorah, from all of the Torah Kula. What is their kesher? What is the tie between the Tzvei Inyonim? Between these two aspects. As Oib der Eberster, when the Eden nit mechaper sein, that if Hashem will not forgive the Yidden from Cheta Egel, for the sin of the Egel, is Mecheni from Torah, then I want to raise me from Torah. What does the sin of not atoning for the Cheta Egel have to do with erasing from the Torah? Rashi explains something, but the simple level in Rashi is hard to understand, that he didn't want to say Torah because this was a personal thing that he didn't want people to say that Moshe Rabbeinu couldn't ask forgiveness, so he's trying to protect his own honor. So he says that's not, has to be a deeper meaning over here, because then we're talking about wiping out the Yidden. So Moshe Rabbeinu is complaining, they shouldn't say that I didn't pray for them. Let's look inside. Rashi is Mavayir. Rashi explains as their meat of Moshe Givot Bavot, and that Moshe wanted a caution with this. So people shouldn't talk about Moshe. I wasn't fit, I wasn't worthy to ask compassion for them because of Haraya. They died because Moshe Rabbeinu is associated. Where was Moshe Rabbeinu to protect them? So Moshe Rabbeinu says, then I don't want my name there, because otherwise people are going to say bad about me, that I wasn't worthy to ask compassion and to forgive them. But that Pirush is L'chayr. This interpretation doesn't seem to be very smooth. But from Lashon HaPosik is mashma, because the language that the verse uses, it appears as mider tainu tviyat zum Eibishten, that when the demand and the argument that Moshe Rabbeinu made to Hashem, had Moshe gewollt poilun hakapora from Cheta Egel, he wanted to accomplish, to impact a atonement for the sin of the Egel. And he wasn't praying for himself. They were going to speak bad about me. They're going to say about Moshe. It was trying to do something for the Yidden through saying, so what is it? How could we say that Moshe Rabbeinu's concern? So first of all, the mashmos psukim is that we're not just talking here about Moshe Rabbeinu, we're talking about some argument to help the Yidden. But other thing is, how could we say that Moshe Rabbeinu is using an argument? Here we're talking about all the Yidden dying, Hashem killing all the Jews, and here he's saying, okay, worry about himself. What we're discussing is here that Moshe Rabbeinu is asking Hashem not to. Hashem said he's going to destroy the Yidden, and the Eibishter want not to accomplish. If the Eibishter will not carry their sin, he won't forgive them, and the Chato Gedol, the big sin, and the punishment that comes. So, so what kind of place does it take up in Moshe Rabbeinu? Talking about that which you're going to say about him. He's trying to. We're dealing about a whole larger picture over here, a whole larger issue here. How to protect the Yidden from the sin? They want the Abishah to protect the sin, and in the middle of this, Moshe Rabbeinu is saying, "Well, they're going to say bad about me." Doesn't really fit. And we'll see how the Rebbe explains this beautifully, that this is part of the dedication and the obligation of a leader to give himself away totally for every Yid, as the Rebbe will explain. Dalet. The Bir Bazeh. The explanation of this. Moshe Rabbeinu is ein Zach Mamish with Klal Yisrael. Moshe Rabbeinu is one with Klal Yisrael. But I was going to say, Moshe's Rabbeinu union with the Yidden is higher than Moshe Rabbeinu's union with Torah. And just like Kavyochel by Hashem, Hashem's union with Yidden is greater than the union with Torah. And therefore, to prove the union of Moshe is if Moshe forgoes the Torah for that union that he has with Yidden. And every Yid, even if a Yid doesn't observe the Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu is ein Zach Mamesh mit Klal Yisrael. He is Mamesh one thing with the Jewish people. Jews in general. Bizas is nechaych to abtelnim von Eden bechlal befrat, to the extent there's no way to separate it. Moshe from Yidden in generally and individually. Ubeshein Rashi, as Rashi's language uses, Moshe hu Yisrael v'Yisrael and Moshe. Moshe is the Yidden and Yidden and Moshe. Was therefore, od der Cheta Egel gepoil. The sin of the Egel impacted also a descent in Moshe, because Moshe is one with the Yidden. You see that even when Moshe had no ability to even rebuke the Yidden, he had nothing to do with the Egel. The Eibishter tells him he should descend, because if the Eibishter is not happy with the Yidden, automatically Moshe goes along with the Yidden. Was the father the Cheta Egel gepoiled hayirida of Moshe? That's why the sin of the Egel caused a descent in Moshe. K'maimer Chazal from Posik. So our sages of blessed memory say in the verse Lech Reit, when Hashem says to Moshe, "Go and descend," and what does it mean? Descend, Reit migedulosecha, descend from your greatness. Because of the Yidden sin. Why should Moshe Rabbeinu lose? What did Moshe Rabbeinu do? Moshe had no connection at all to the sin of the Egel. Because he wasn't even in the defined, wouldn't even be included in those who can protest and didn't protest. He wasn't there, he was in the mountain. He literally was on the mountain. For sure, how much more so spiritually was on a total different level. Why should the sin of the Egel touch him? The Eibusha tells him, "Go down from your greatness." The answer is because Moshe is one with the Yidden. Norval Moshe is ein Zach mit Yisrael. Because Moshe is one with the Yidden, and therefore Gedulas nit known is geworden ein Zach mit Gedulas Yisrael. His greatness was given and became one thing with the greatness of the Yidden. The greatness of Yidden and the greatness of Moshe is one. Oder Chet Egel. So therefore, the sin of the Egel, Yerida from Yisrael, and the descent of the Jewish people, but Derech Memela, automatically it's connected. Yepoilt Yerida in motion caused the Yerida descent in motion. Not because he did or didn't do anything, it's just because he is one with the Yidden. If the Yidden are in the descent, they bring down Moshe with them. And here, that union from Moshe with the Yidden is even greater than the union of Moshe with Torah. Und all these Achdus von Moshe mit Yidden, that union from Moshe with the Yidden is noch tiefer, is even deeper. Beside his Achdus mit Torah is even greater than his union with Torah. And we find by the Eibishter that usually we know the Eibishter connects to the Torah. The Eibishter put himself into Torah, but yet the Eibishter also connects with the Yidden. Normally, the Eibishter connects to a Yid through Torah, but yet, even a Yid didn't do Torah, the Eibishter connects directly because the connection of a Yid to Hashem is even higher and greater than even without Torah. He's a deeper connection, and just like by Kodesh Baruch Hu, the same thing is by the Tzaddikim. Und all these Achdus Moshe mit Yidden is noch tiefer wie seine Achdus mit Torah. This is deeper than his union with Torah. Kishem, we may give him by them Vereinzigung. Von Yidden with the Eibishter, just like we find by the union from Yidden with the Hashem. Although Torah and Hashem are really one, so there is a union from the Torah and Hashem, but yet the union between Yidden and Hashem is even greater. With the Pirush HaPanimi, where is the meaning that where do we see Hashem unites with the Torah? At the inner meaning from Maimer Chazal. And sages of blessed memory say that the word Anoichi is abbreviation Ano Nafshi Ksovis Yehovis. I put my nefesh, Hashem is sort of saying, put my nefesh in my writing that I gave over Laseres HaDibros. The Eibishter put himself into Torah. As the Eibishter of Zich Alein, Hashem put himself, Nafshi, Areingeschrieben und abgegeben in Torah. He wrote himself down and he gave himself over in Torah. Von deswegen, and yet is this Achdus von Eden mit Kutschebrichel, yet the union of the Yid with Hashem, noch tiefer and hecher davon, it's deeper and higher than this. Ukamaimer Chazal, as our sages of blessed memory say, as Yisrael called with the Torah. You didn't come before the Torah, because in the Torah it says, Tzavas b'nei Yisrael daber, it has to be first b'nei Yisrael, for there can be Torah to tell them. So it means that you didn't come before Torah. Similar to the way it works by the Eibishter, and as a result, because that's the way it works by the Eibishter, is by the Siyeh Hador, by the leaders of a generation. The leader of the generation is like the whole generation. That their union with the people of their generation is not hecher, is even higher than von Zeir is Achdus mit Torah, than their union with Torah. And so it is also by tzaddikim in general. Here we're talking about leaders of the generation, how they connect with the generation, but generally by tzaddikim. We say tzaddikim are similar to their creator. Although they invest themselves, they put themselves in the matters of Torah, that they learn, especially those novel ideas that they come up in Torah, they put themselves in there, especially there in older Torah, especially in their ideas. That still does not reach to the level of that union that the tzaddikim unite with Yid. Especially to those who have a connection to them. That's even more than just the Yid in the generation. Those people, therefore, because they're connected, they carry a special responsibility. And they become like the poor people of your city, which come before other poor people. Whether we're talking about sons or we're talking about students, and as the pasuk says, the people that they created in the Chorim. So that's the ones that the tzaddikim have that real complete union even more than that they invest in the Torah that they're learning. Hey, so now we can understand why Moshe Rabbeinu asked to be erased, because that connection is a deeper connection. The connection from the Yidden is deeper than the connection to the Torah. If the Torah does not allow for Moshe to be even with those Yidden that he is connected by essence, so then that's the Torah that he doesn't want to be in, because if the Torah connects with him, but he connects with the Yidden more. Hey, this is also the explains in Bakoshas Moshe that Moshe asked, that he asked to be for erased from the Torah. And on der Tam was hat eingestellt sein Etzem Metzias, and gives us the reason why he placed online his essence of his existence, bis is verbunden mit Torah, as it is tied to Torah, to live, because euch the Egel, also for those who made the Egel. Wie bald as this Ardus von Moshe mit Eden, since that union for Moshe with Eden is noch hecher von sein his Ardus mit Torah, is even higher than his union with Torah. Therefore is der Tetzava davon given in beide Inyanim. That's why the result from this was in both matters. First of all, he's ready to give it up. That's his Mesidus Nefesh, because it's more important. Torah is important, but it's even a greater importance is the Yidden. And number two, every Yid, because in that level, it's every Yid. It's his essence, and it doesn't make a difference. It's not those who observe the Torah or not, but it's a union which is in the essence of the Yid, Aleph. So number one, Euch sein Mesidus Nefesh var Eden. So also when it comes that his self-sacrifice, when it has for Yidden, is freer and hecher, comes first, early before, and then higher from sein Mesidus Nefesh of Torah than his self-sacrifice on the study of Torah. We find that the Mesidus Nefesh, Rebbe brings an example, the Mesidus Nefesh, to giving up your life is even more than your connection with Torah. The Rebbe brings the story of the Beis Yosef, who was told by the Maggid who used to teach him that he lost the opportunity to do Mesidus Nefesh, even though it would mean if he did get the opportunity, he wouldn't be able to write the Beis Yosef and wouldn't have all the Shulchan Aruch in which the Klal Yisrael follows. That means that we would not have the Torah, and yet Mesidus Nefesh was considered that it was taken away from him the level of Mesidus Nefesh as a punishment, because that is even a greater than the limud HaTorah. Looks inside al derech ve'eshteit in Magid Mishorim, similar to what it says in the Magid Mishorim, as the Beis Yosef had gedacht zoiche sein, that the Beis Yosef should have merited to Mesidus Nefesh al Kiddush Hashem, to self-sacrifice to sanctify the name of Hashem. But for a certain reason, when he was punished, and in reality, in actuality, he did not merit to go on Mesidus Nefesh. Had he passed away, had he died to sanctify the name of Hashem, he would not have the opportunity to mechaber sein dem Shulchan Aruch shaloi kuloi, to author his entire Shulchan Aruch. From it, the Torah comes out. When he writes kuloi, maybe part of it he would have, but he couldn't write the whole Shulchan Aruch. And all the teaching to all the Yidden come from the Shulchan Aruch. And yet we consider that is dos an inyan shaloinish. That's an idea. That's a concept of punishment. But is that in Torah, because the great as high, the advantage of Torah kuntas obenish to Mesidus Nefesh al Kiddush Hashem, that does not reach the level of Mesidus Nefesh, the sanctity of Hashem's name. But dos is Mesidus Nefesh al Mizayid. Over there, the Mesidus Nefesh is because you're a Jew, which is even higher than Torah. Unaz men zol zayin ayid, eins mit Hashem, and that you should remain a yid, one with Hashem. That's why it's Mesidus Nefesh. That's why that is higher even than Torah. And Beis, and because we're talking about the essence, the higher level of connection is this Achdus Ubemele, the Mesiras Nefesh, that union, and therefore also the self-sacrifice is with and far and for Yederid for every Jew. In was for a Matzah soll nur sein, any circumstance, situation that he is. Even those who made Egel, the Baal does his Hecher from Torah, since the connection between the Yidden and Moshe is higher than Torah. Vertes nit bottled durch them. That's why that doesn't cease. It doesn't stop through that. Was a Yid is abgerissen from Torah. That a Yid is torn away from Torah. K'maymer Chazal, as our sages of blessed memory say, Ava Pishachot Yisraelu, he's still a Jew, even though he did the sin. So that means he's still a Yid, and therefore there is a connection and a greater connection from Moshe than even the Torah. So, because if he doesn't do the Torah, but still Moshe is connected with the Yid. Und das ist eigentlich the Pirush. And this is also the meaning. Im Tisochatosom, if you carry their sin, you forgive them. Okay, what is he saying? Erase me. If the sin of the golden calf is so serious, as Torah git nit kein ort auf tisochatos, that Torah does not allow room, doesn't allow you for forgiven to carry that sin to forgive it, which basically means Hashem will forgive it, but the Torah doesn't allow. Hashem won't mechaper give it. Hashem would have told. Nor Torah is kaviyochel teveya, but it's, so to speak, the Torah is demanding and prevents unmoineya and prevents. So if that is what Torah does, is Moshe's bakosh and tviyah. So what's Moshe's request and demand? Erase me from this book, from the Torah. Because Damot state begilui beli levush klal. Then, when he's not in Torah, then you see real Moshe Rabbeinu, no dress up. He's not even dressed up in Torah. His essence, in which he's united with the Yidden. Damot state begilui beli levush klal. Moshe's asmius dikes avdus. Moshe's essence. Union with Yidden, and durch them, and through that, the Yichud von Yidden with Kutshabrichu, the union from the Yidden with Hashem, was his Hecher from the is Ardus mit Torah, which is higher than the union with Torah. Because Moshe Rabbeinu is not in Torah. He says it's not through Torah, it's higher than Torah. He's connected. He's united with the Yidden higher than the union of Torah. Was mitzad der his achdus, because of that union. Then the atonement comes even for such a sin as the egel. Through that higher, deeper connection of Moshe with the Yidden. Und das verbindet sie dann auch zurück euch mit Torah. Then later on, it ties them back to Torah. And now we understand the connection to the Ata Tetzava, which is all talking about not the name of Moshe, but the Ata, the you of Moshe, Moshe's essence, which is the central idea of the union of Moshe Rabbeinu being able to unite and carry and all Yidden in their essence. Pikol and Alvo. Pikol, now that we verstehen, based on the above, all the above will also understand the Sichos from Bakosh's Moshe Mecheni to Vata Tetzava, the connection between Moshe's asking, erase me to Vata Tetzava. Ot di his Ardus for Moshe, this union of Moshe, mit alle Yidden, was is noch Hecher von Torah, with all Yidden, which is even higher than the union of Moshe with Torah, was drikt sich aus in der Bakosha, which expressed itself in his request, Mecheni no misifrecha, erase me from this book, because I am not going by the book. I'm going higher than the book. But gebracht in them, it's expressed in Ba'ata Tzavas B'nai Yisrael. You Tetzava, one of the meaning Tetzava, you unite Tzavsa v'chibur. Was einer from the Pirushim them is Va'ato. You, the Atzmi is from Moshe, the essence of Moshe is Tetzava, you connect. Ato Tetzava is connects. The other is Mekasher Mechaber, which is Tetzava Loshen Tzavsa v'chibur. Tetzava language of together and connecting. All Eden zusammennehmen mit Zies to make all Eden into one existence. Mitzad the Madregas from Moshe, when we talk about the levels because of Moshe, was eine verbunden mit Hashem that are tied to a name. But this is Koil Afili Yichida Sheben Nefesh. As long as a name, it's even the highest level, Yichida Sheben Nefesh, it's still a name. That's why it's one of the 5 names. It's Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chai, Yichida. So even the highest level, Yichida Sheben Nefesh, was his einer from the Chamisha Shemus Nikrula. This is one of the 5 names that the Neshama was called. The Neshama. The Gerechtment, the Giluyim Shalamayla. This you can reach the revelations of above. Vazainen nit hecher from Torah. They are not higher than Torah. Still revelation. Still not the Moshe that is needed in the level that is higher than Torah. All the Torah is considered names of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So it's all in the level of shame. But here we want deeper than the Torah. The far kemen mitzad the madrege nit oifton and tzavs of chibur. So from the madrege of Torah alone, from the shame, you can't make that connection. Was nemtarum ali in meshova, which encompasses all Yidden equally, and that would include even somebody who failed. Specifically atat tzava, the essence, the atzmi is from Moshe, but his hechem from Shem b'Torah, the essence of Moshe, which is higher than a name and a description. That etzem hanefesh was nitfas in the chamisha shembes, the essence of the soul, which is not captured in the 5 names, was farbinzach mit ato ha'ikri v'amite, which ties to the you, the main and the true one, ato shalamaylo, that part in Moshe Rabbeinu, which is the you, which is higher, and it ties to the you, the Hashem, which is Hashem's essence, was be'emes la'amita, in the real truth, is dafke nor if asma shaykh zog ato. Really, b'klal ato kemanish, even a Moshe Rabbeinu, but the Eibishter loshen noichach. Shem Shemayim Shogur B'fi Koil, which means the name of Hashem is in everybody's mouth. You can say, therefore, you Koil them Tetzavas B'nai Yisrael. That accomplishes that connection with B'nai Yisrael. The Tzavsa for Chiba from Ali Eden, Afilu Doisegel, that connection and the togetherness of all Yidden, even those who made the Egel in a Mitzias, make one essence, one existence, everybody together. That is from the level which is even higher than Chaya, the level of Ato, the level of you. And those zegt der Kesher von Hemshech, from Vata Tetzava to Hemshech Hatzibur. This is also the connection, the tie from Vata Tetzava to the following, the command the command that follows it. They should bring it to you, the oil, to bring up this lamp. Why did they have to bring it to Moshe when Aaron is the one that lit the lamp? The question that lost and is I'll bring up the lamps is doch that took place given durch Aaron, through Aaron. Hein Farvos is their onzog v'yichoi lachat to Moshe. So why is Yichoi, why is Moshe? State of them, their beers, so the beers explain Aaron mitzad atzmi is poil of Eden v'chazayin and Neres. Aaron by himself, without Moshe, impacts those Yin that are lamps, to light the lamps. V'chazayin and muchan leichten, those are prepared, ready to light with ner mitzvah v'torah, the lamp of mitzvah and the light of Torah. Oivd Hashem, they're servants of Hashem. Aber durch them was v'yichoi lecho Hashem again. I take it to Moshe. He combines and instructs and he unites all Yidden. as mentioned earlier, just you turn in alle Eden, so then that's accomplished in all Eden. Even the ones that are most simple. The essence of their soul becomes revealed, and that is Ba'ato, and that's the Tetzava, and that is done through Moshe Rabbeinu. Oy sein. Apizevet ben euch verstehen, die Sichos und Ba'ato Tetzava zum Teuchen von Klolos HaSedre. Now we can also understand the general Sedre is Ba'ato Tetzava, the name of the Sedre. Was der Far wird nicht der Mensch Moshe der ganze Sedre, and that's why the name Moshe is not mentioned in the whole Sedre. In dem ganzen Sipur wegen Kohunas Aaron und Bonav in the Sedre is Mutgesh. The whole entire story about the Kohuna, the priesthood of Aaron and his son in the Sedre, it's emphasized because darf getan werden durch Moshe, that it needs to be done through Moshe Davke, specifically. Steht euch gleich bas cholas ha'inyan, as it says also right in the beginning of the subject, Va'ato hakre v'lecha, you bring close to you, as Aaron lechaneli. Then it says, Va'osiso bigdei kodesh l'Aaron achichodem. Make these holy garments for your brother Aaron. Al derech zeh is der ganze chinuch l'kohuna von Aaron Bonov. And oh Moshe Rabbeinu, you make it for your brother. And the same thing is the chinuch dedication kun von Aaron Bonov wird geworden. This was accomplished dafke durch Moshe, specifically through Moshe. With the Tzil Baruch in the Parsha, as explained at length the Parsha. Was eine von the biurim bozeh is al derech hanal being Neres HaMenorah. One, the explanation is similar as we explained in Neres HaMenorah why it needed to be brought to Moshe first, even though Aaron, because Moshe was able to encompass and include all Yidden equally, even those that sinned for the Egel. Aaron HaKohen mitzad, the same explanation is for everything. Aaron HaKohen mitzad atzmei. Aaron HaKohen on his own is in Yonah Kohuna v'Kedushas HaMishkan. His idea is the Kohuna, the sanctity of the Mishkan. B'meila, and therefore, therefore, his service of Kohuna, who would it impact? Beikar mainly. Not if they have those on all those who serve Hashem. Was hoben agility keshayches to Menorah Mishkan and Mikdash, which have an open connection to the Menorah Mishkan and Mikdash. To them, aber was ve'ato, that fact that you, Moshe, bring close to you as Aaron Achicha, your brother, Lechaneli, you bring him in. That gives him of your specialty. Is Kohunas Aaron be'oifen? Then the Kohuna of Aaron is in such a way as a stoit oif in alle Eden, that it accomplishes by all Yidden, afile apshutim b'yosir, even the very simple. Thus is also the reason, thus if the timing, funded time, it's also one amongst the reasons, was gleich noch Chinuch Aaron, immediately following the dedication of Aaron, state der Tzivui, tells the instruction of Mizbach Miktar Keteres, of the Mizbeach that offers the incense. The unique quality of the incense is that it had also the bad, one of the spices, which represents negativity, and that too make it into Keteres. It doesn't seem that it belongs, Keteres, to be separate from all the other Kalim, but because we are talking about the essence over here, all Yidden, that comes out by Keteres as well. The Lechoire, it would seem, or the tzivui of asiyas mizbeach hapnimi, the command for doing and making the inner mizbeach gedacht stehen frier in Parshas Truma. This should have been stated earlier in the section of Truma. Zusammen mit dem tzivui of alle klei hamishkan, together with the command for all vessels in Mishkan, should stay earlier. Koilel the mizbeach hachitzon. Also, we talked about the outer mizbeach. Should have brought the Mizbeach HaKtoris. What does it belong here in the end of Parshas Kisisa? No, nor weil oder Inyan as Kohunas Aaron darf sein verbunden mit alle Yidden, because this concept that Aaron's Kohuna needs to be connected with all Yidden, that's why Moshe Rabbeinu was brought into the picture. Drückt sich euch in der Minyan HaKtoris, euch in der Minyan HaKtoris. This also is expressed in the idea of Ketores. Ukamayim Chazal, as our sage blessed memories say, as kol tiny she'en bo mepeshe Yisrael. When there's a fast day and there's not amongst them from the sinners of Israel, ain't a tinus. It's not a tinus. Why? The proof is from the Ketores. Shadachel beno was one of the ingredients of the Ketores. Rechara has a bad smell. Umona, yes, the Torah calls it takosuv. Im samamoni Ketores, together with the spices of the Ketores. So that's is the idea that we need the samamoni Ketores, we need the Pashi Yisrael, we need the Chalbana. Similar, as we said before, as Moshe nefesh given, I feel for the Isa Egel that Moshe sacrificed himself even for those people that made Egel. And especially the Ketores, the special Avedis in Kippur, Befrat Kumdas Arois Begilui, in Avedis Akteris Yom Kippurim, this comes out openly in the service of Ketores and Yom Kippur. As it's stated in the end and the conclusion of the Sedra, that's after making the Ketores, he will atone for the corners. Once a year for atone for you for generations, the power of Ketores to forgive also every Yid on the essence of a Yid. Ches. From this, we also get a wondrous lesson in our service to Hashem. Moshe Rabbeinu is given great, just as Moshe was prepared to mevater sein auf an inyan achi naili v'ikrish on a very main aspect and greatness of himself. Sein verbunden mit Torah, his connection with Torah. To leave Yidden because of Yidden. Unafil for I say Hegel, even for those who may construct the Egel. Was das noch mehr wie this is even loving more than yourself. Because loving like yourself has to be the level of Torah, because that was Moshe. The kamoicha from Moshe is not Torah. Loving like yourself would be like Torah. Somebody who's connected to Torah. Moshe, sein ganze Metzies ist given durchgenommen mit Torah, his entire being was been penetrated with Torah. Is Moshe given great zum Mevater sein of them? Moshe was prepared to forego this, kedei zu sein in einer mit Yidden, in order to be together with Yidden, koilel, together with which Yidden? Welche seine given, abgeris Rachman l'Islam from Torah, which were, God forbid, torn away from Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu wants to be with them. Derech zeh, there explains now the Rashi. He, as a faithful shepherd, he wanted. He gave the power to every Jew, man, every time, place. As Zolzich should conduct like that. And das ist Tanusik, and that is his argument. If God forbid you will not atone their sin, and therefore the one who sinned to me, the Eibishter says to Moshe, I'm going to raise them, the Yidden, from the Sefer. He's going to remain in the Sefer. So then they'll say, which means, in other words, he said, no, I'm not going, I'm not leaving, I want my place. Okay, the Yidden are being erased, okay, but I want to still be there. No, this would be, so Moshe Rabbeinu doesn't want people to learn from him, from them for generations, that he stayed in Torah while they were to raise the other ones. So that's what it's not for his personal thing. It's just the hero for Torahs. The lesson is how it needs to be in the service of each one. It says, it isn't sufficient that we have love of a Yid, and to every Jew, in Bosfar Amatzev, as all know, any condition, situation is in, when the Ave is kamoicha, the level is like yourself, There's months of Mesiras Nefesh, we expected, demanded to have self-sacrifice. Was darf sich ausdrücken, that is, it needs to be expressed in Oives Abriyas Karben La Torah, to loving the people and bringing them close to Torah. This is Mesichos Shabbos Parshas Tetzava, Tov Shin Mem.